What's a piece of lost media not even the internet can recover? Homer's Iliad and Odyssey are 2 of an 8-part set. The other 6 are lost to the ages, as they were primarily shared aloud, not memorialized in writing. Homer's just chillin' in the afterlife, albeit that those were the 2 worst ones in his octology. The Film Foundation has estimated that about 90% of all films made before 1929 are lost. This includes the first films by Alfred Hitchcock, Frank Capra and several other notable filmmakers, the earliest film adaptations of several famous stories, and one of the first Best Picture Oscar nominees. This is because back in the 20s, a decade well known for its foresight, film was shot on nitrate, which would often spontaneously combust into plumes of hellfire that would destroy everything around it unless it was stored in a low humidity, low heat environment. Hollywood producers, a group also well known for their foresight, decided to frick that and stored them in sun-baked storage sheds in the middle of Los Angeles. Heck, my grandfather had old nitrate film in the garage, until he almost burned down the garage. I wonder what early Universal stuff we lost forever. I'm surprised that no one has mentioned the terabytes of images on Photobucket yet. Photobucket used to be like Imgur, free image hosting and embedding with direct links, but in 2015, they locked everyone's previously free images behind a $100 a year paywall, and it's $400 a year to embed those images on websites. So there are literally millions of Reddit threads, forum posts and personal websites that are defunct. I actually paid the $100 a few months ago to get my photos back. Some were the only copies of photos of my friend who died. Reset my password, and nothing was in my account. I had hundreds of images on my account. There was literally nothing left, and after speaking with their customer support and doing a bit of research, there are several people who have come forward who have lost everything as well, with no given way to recover them. I can only imagine what used to be there to browse freely. I'm on several hobby DIY forums that extensively used Photobucket. Immensely frustrating to look back over old threads and find all the pictures are gone, especially if you're trying to follow instructions or a build guide and it's all just follow the pictures. But nowadays the forums encourage you to use their own file hosting for this exact reason. Stunned no one's yet mentioned the infamous 1/2-minute gap. The missing erased portion of Nixon's first taped discussion of Watergate with his chief of staff H.R. Haldeman on the 20th of June, 1972. Even modern digital forensics have been unable to recover what was erased, and it probably wasn't even that interesting. I read an article years back that speculated, though I remember it being convincing, that the 18-minute gap was probably Nixon's attempt at erasing all of the tapes, but because he was not technologically inclined he gave up, and that the underlying audio wasn't that particularly interesting or damning. It's just where he started erasing. So many silent movies. Theda Bara was the biggest star of her day, and only 6 of the films she made still exist. I just finished Gloria Swanson's autobiography and she so badly wanted to see Beyond the Rocks, a 1922 film she made with Valentino. Again, it was thought to be lost until a copy was found 20 years after Gloria died. The original Japanese version of the 1963 Astro Boy series. There's 2 episodes that you can find, but the rest of the series is gone as the tapes were destroyed long ago. The DVD box that I have has a disclaimer stating the original masters were destroyed and they had to track down copies to make the release. MP3s of an old internet friend's piano covers of late 2000 songs of interest. An example would be Onto Grasstown from the Cave Story Ost. I remember requesting Caramel Danson, and he did an awesome cover, just because I asked. He died several years ago, and I remember frantically looking everywhere to see if it was still on an old iPod or if the place he uploaded it still had it. But of course, it's all long gone. I wish I still had them. The first moon landing, NASA wiped the tapes. Fortunately, an Australian scientist recorded the images on Super 8 and that's all we have now. The Lost Beatles song, Carnival of Light. It was a 14-minute avant-garde song that was similar to Revolution 9 but was only played at the Million Volt Light and Sound Rave Festival in 1967. Paul McCartney owns the master tapes, so he tried to include the song for the anthology in 1996, but was quickly shot down by George Harrison. Ringo Starr and Yoko Ono, as they didn't like the avant-garde nature of the song. Paul tried many times over the years to include it in future Beatles compilations and films, but could never get the permission from Ringo, Yoko and Olivia Harrison. Giles Martin considered putting the song in for the 50th anniversary Sgt. Pepper remastered release, but shot it down for not being part of the Pepper recordings. He's still interested in bringing the song to light in the future, so tomorrow never knows. Yoko Ono didn't like the avant-garde nature. What? Many station identification bumpers from different cable channels have been lost due to a lack of interest in preservation. These include the Disney Channel's wand bumpers that featured actors and cartoon characters drawing out the Disney logo. People buy home recorded VHS Betamax tapes on eBay and capture the footage of old commercials. That's how a bunch of old stuff ends up on YouTube. It's just a matter of time. Not sure if this really counts, but most TV station glitches. Sometimes something goes wrong with TV networks or service providers and they end up showing some really weird or out there things. Obscure movies that belong on other channels, shorts that never aired, etc. This happened a lot before the 2010s, so most people weren't able to easily record and document them. The one that I remember the most was on Cartoon Network. Sometime around 2009-2010 the channel went to commercials, and then they started playing things that did not belong on that time slot. Camp Lazlo shorts that never aired before. Commercials for Adult Swim, like the Aqua Teen Cull Contest commercial, if anyone remembers that. Random music videos, clips from shows that only aired in the late 90s early 2000s, etc. And then when all of that was over, the glitch just looped. All in all, it happened 5 times before they were able to get it under control, and then everything continued as if nothing happened. Around 2003-2004, some friends and I stayed up all night watching cartoons with close captioning. At maybe 4 AM, Sesame Street came on, and the captions were just a bizarre string of swearing and gibberish. I'll tell you what it is. It's the Brad Pitt online diaries. Like, 18 years ago there was an account on Diaryland that was a regularly posted first-person narrative of Brad Pitt's life, much of which revolved around misadventure involving a purple bong named Bongzilla, which Jennifer Aniston was always hiding, and the fact that everyone was always trying to have sex with him. In an entry detailing his childhood humiliation of being forced by his parents to perform as little Brad Pitt Wonder, a rival of Stevie's, and having the schoolyard nickname that clown with the farting penis, he exclaims, "I don't care what you remember about me, I'm Brad motherfucking Pitt now, It was the best." The author was a guy named Uncle Bob, and I cannot find it anywhere. A bunch of early episodes of Doctor Who that the BBC deliberately erased because the tapes were expensive and the show was seen as cheap and of no lasting value. A lot of BBC stuff was wiped. Monty Python was almost wiped, but I think they stole the tapes. Somewhere out there, rotting in a Paramount vault, lay the untouched remains of the 3-hour cut of planes, trains, and automobiles. My heart breaks every time I think about it. It's estimated that John Hughes shot over 600,000 feet of film for the movie, twice the industry average, so needless to say, the version we've seen is likely only a portion of the scenes they actually shot. Even if the unseen footage is crap, it's still an extra 90 minutes of John Candy and Steve Martin in everyone's favorite Thanksgiving movie, and it will likely never see the light of day, whatever's left of it that hasn't decayed, anyway. There was a commercial on once that me and my sister saw, and when I tell people maybe only 3 others said they saw it too. It was of a little girl sitting in her driveway on a tricycle and these kids in the background are playing Ring Around the Rosie. The girl is telling people to make sure their kids are away from the car when you back out so you don't run them over. Then out of nowhere a car pulls out of the garage and backs over her. It cuts to a scene of the tricycle laying on its side in the driveway with one wheel spinning as the kids in the back go we all fall down. It was like a back of her awareness saw, but I think it got pulled from the air and I can't find it. The Timothy Treadwell bear attack audio. There is a clip on the internet, but the clip has been confirmed as fake. The real audio is in a vault of some sort if I recall correctly, and will probably never be released online. It's not lost, we know where it is, but it will most likely never be released. Junkyard Wars Scrap Heap Challenge in anything other than VHS quality or ancient incomplete bad bitrate pirated TV rips. Yet somebody gave a frick enough to copyright strike my upload of the theme song on YouTube. Yup. It's likely the quality was to avoid detection. Your quality made it too easy to identify. The broadcast of Super Bowl in 1967. The network recorded over the tapes. Only one copy is known to exist and the owner isn't giving it up. Well, the NFL offered him like $30,000 for it, while people estimated it was easily worth $1 million, and then when he wouldn't sell, threatened to sue him if he sold it to anyone else. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. He offered it to the NFL for $1 million, and a 30-second ad spot goes for $5 million, and they wouldn't give him more than $30K for it. I'm actually hoping that the internet can recover this. I'm pretty sleuthy and I've only managed to turn up dead ends after dead ends. A French band called Explosion de Caca released their first 2 albums digitally for free. These were available on their website as .mp3s inside 2 .zip files, one for each album. I downloaded them several times but kept deleting them to save space until I finally decided to download and keep them for good one day. They had just released their 3rd album and had taken the first 2 offline and I've never been able to find them since. They were Voix la Télé, 1999, Old Times Paterades, 2003. The director's cut of The Breakfast Club. John Hughes had a tape which he showed to a reporter once, so we have a rough note of what the missing scenes were like, but since Hughes' passing no one knows where that tape is. There was this talking pig movie Gordy that came out a few months before Babe. It was a flop. The very last commercial they aired for it wasn't a trailer but a video of one of the producers complaining about no one buying tickets to see the movie. She said something like she started a company to make family films and she wondered if maybe that was a mistake. It only aired once and no one ever talks about it happening. I always found it very odd and it's been impossible for me to find it or any mention of it. I've never seen that movie, but I remember it existing. On one of the McDonald's toys for the Babe movie, small plush toys of farm animals, I wrote Gordy on the tag of a duplicate Babe I had. My Groove Shark playlists. I used Groove Shark for forever and ever, never illegally downloaded anything from it or paid for the mobile app. I just really liked using it on my laptop. It was clean and easy to use with no ads. Used it from like 2009 or 2010 up until 2015, and then one day I went to listen to music while doing homework and it was gone. What was really upsetting is that I had used it the day before and I had no forewarning to save my stuff. It's not like I don't have access to the music. I mean, I know everything I listen to is on YouTube and Spotify. I'm upset because I lost my playlists from early high school. Sometimes I'll hear a song, then start thinking about what automatically should come next, and I whip out my note on my phone where I write down the playlist. I remember when it shut down, some Reddit comment suggested this crazy way to sort of re-download the playlist info, but it didn't work for all my stuff. Oh well, life goes on, I guess. Yes, I was looking for this comment. I absolutely adored Groove Shark, and then it just shut it one day, no warning. I was heartbroken. So many playlists had so many memories attached. A full version of the 1920s Lon Chaney film London After Midnight. There are no known remaining copies of film itself, just stills, and 16 years ago I think AMC or TCM played a sort of slideshow version of it with narration. I still hold out hope that we will see it eventually. It just turns up in a private collection in Argentina or something. God, I hope so. I love Lon Chaney's work. I just wish we could see one of his best known movies. Alex Hirsch, the creator of Gravity Falls, on the David Letterman show because he won his high school bird calling contest. The Gravity Falls sub tried to find it years ago but gave up. He refuses to do bird calls at all now. At his own admission, he has tried his damnedest to destroy every bit of that footage he could find. If anyone is interested in looking, as I have given up, this is the episode. The episode aired the 20th of June, 2002, Season 9 episode 172. I've been occasionally looking, unsuccessfully, for when Alan Greenspan appeared on David Letterman's show. It might be season 15 episode 21, but I've never seen a video of it. I saw it live. Letterman asked an interesting question on the autonomy of the Federal Reserve and Greenspan said something dismissive like, "We'll do what we please until an act of Congress changes it." Well, I was going to write about my own white whale, but when looking up the details I discovered somebody uploaded it to YouTube in 2016. It was John Mellencamp's solo acoustic performance of Pink Houses on the news show back in 1984. I saw it that one time it was broadcast, when I was 13, and I looked for it on and off for the last 15 years. Didn't help that I wasn't even sure which TV show it was, but tonight I felt pretty sure Buck Henry had something to do with it. Et voila, life is grand. The cut parts of Django Unchained, if I recall correctly, they added over an hour of runtime, and Tarantino cut them because he feared they would traumatize the audience. You know it must be some fricked up shades of crap if Tarantino thinks it would traumatize people. When I was a kid, 80s, I would flip through department store ads when the Sunday paper came. My mom was more likely to buy me a toy I wanted if it was on sale. I remember there used to be child underwear models and ads where kids were wearing whatever underpants that happened to be on sale that week in the Sears or Kmart ads. There's no way I want to try to Google this, but I'm pretty sure nobody ever bothered to save those old ads, and now I wonder if future generations will have any idea how much our society has changed in the last 30 years when it comes to how protective we have become of kids. Siri, search. Siri, why don't you take a seat right over there? Owen Hart falling to his death. I swear I've seen the clip back in the Lemieux days. There was a file titled Owen Hart Death Fall and showed a wrestler falling from the rafters, slamming the turnbuckle, breaking his neck. People swear it's never been released and no one has seen it, but the clip I watched looked correct, and I can't even find that clip anymore. The closest thing I can find is the guy falling through the tables. My friend has talked to me about this. It has been erased from existence. I was deemed my family's media librarian and gifted all of my grandfather's Super 8 films and slides for safekeeping. I transferred the Super 8 films to VHS, which my grandpa enjoyed watching in his final days in the year 2001. It's something I'm still proud of my teenage self for having the patience to do. Unfortunately, greed is strong and the VHS copies were lost after he passed because his 7 kids descended upon the house and stripped it bare. But worst of all original media was destroyed when my house burned down nigh on 10 years ago. Sorry about your granddad's passing, his greedy kids, and your home. Sounds like you did a very admirable thing. There's so much art and literature that gets posted on various sites, DeviantArt, Tumblr, Twitter, etc. And sometimes the site admins or the user just takes it down. And if it wasn't a hugely popular thing, nobody has a copy saved. Buffalo Sabres highlights from the 70s and 80s. Vast majority of the French Connection's heyday was lost to poor storage as well as accidental deleting. Visitors highlights still exist, but pretty much anything from the Ted Darling years is gone. Christine Chubbuck's suicide tape. It was broadcast live in 1974. Only one copy of it is known to exist and it cannot be found anywhere on the internet. Last I read, the police or the TV station gave her family the only remaining copy of the tape. It was a big quad reel unplayable in any common household then or now. I'd wager the family burnt it to put the incident past them. It's gone. Shortly after D-Day, after the beaches of Normandy were taken by the Allies and the liberation of France began at the cost of untold human lives and unthinkable carnage, a general gathered as much of the film that was shot on the beaches that day and threw it into the English Channel. Only a handful of film reels from this event survived the war, even though there were dozens of men with cameras on the beaches that day. The real Batman Unchained, originally named Batman Triumphant, script, a planned sequel to 1997's Batman and Robin. The film's failure caused it to be cancelled, yet a script was definitely made. It had Scarecrow and Harley Quinn as villains. It has yet to be found. Also, back in the late 60s early 70s, long after Batman 66 was cancelled and before the Legends of the Superheroes TV specials were made, there were talks of a Superman-Batman TV movie and a proposal was written. However, lack of interest in Batman at the time and deals being worked out for Superman, the movie, nothing happened and the proposal was lost. Even more insane, Batman Unchained was said to have Jack Nicholson Joker, Danny DeVito Penguin, Jim Carrey Riddler, Tommy Lee Jones Two-Face, all freaking show up in the end as part of a Scarecrow hallucination, making it the most expensive ending possible. Also, Nick Cage was to play the Scarecrow. London After Midnight, a mystery horror film from 1927 is pretty much the holy grail of lost films. All known copies were destroyed in a vault fire at MGM in 1965 and in 50 plus years nothing has surfaced aside from some production photos and a vintage movie poster, and the poster sold for a record-breaking amount at auction. A lot of old episodes of Doctor Who from the first and second Doctor era. Some were lost in a warehouse fire, others badly stored. Now the internet has found a few in out of the way places, but much of the show's early history is lost to time. An amazing remix I had as a kid. My uncle gave me an MP3 he loaded with crap from LimeWire. I still have some remixes that are one of a kind, but the one I wanted is gone. The original MP3 got lost by my stupid father. All remember is a few parts. The intro going wow, that was also the title. Some lyrics I don't need a mic to take you to the Twilight Zone, and the end, which I believe is taken from Delphine 3030's Mastermind. Ivy spend days days going over backwater torrent sites and old music forums. I have a feeling I'm gonna hear it on my deathbed at this point. That or it's from the future and my job is to recompose it. I know not a single person would know what I am talking about, but lots of lost episodes of Mexican comedy show El Chavo del Ocho. Apparently Televisa ruined the only original tapes and lost the episodes. I don't see why you would assume no one would know about this show. It's only one of the most popular TV shows in Latin America. All lights fricked on the hairy ump drooling. Godspeed You Black Emperor's first album. Though Reddit apparently got close once. Maybe. I literally had no idea about that album. I own everything else of theirs on vinyl. I thought my collection was complete, but now there's a void in my life from knowing I don't have all of their stuff. I'm so glad I can contribute to this thread. When I was a junior in Catholic high school in the early 90s, I took a required Christian marriage class. We had sex ed in the class and our teacher showed us a cartoon about STDs. I don't remember the title or almost anything about it, but I would kill to see it again. All I remember is, the STDs were cartoon characters with names like Tricky Mona, Trichomoniasis, and Silly Phyllis, Syphilis. Those are the only two STD characters that I can remember, and no one else I still talk to from high school remembers it. I've tried to Google it, to no avail. Boo. The Star Wars Holiday Special. There's a crap quality taping of it, with parts missing. Last I checked, but we'll never see the whole thing as it was intended, considering George Lucas smashed the film reels with a sledgehammer. Maybe we can petition Disney to remake it though. The Gallery of Madame Lute's Song. It was the first US TV show to star an Asian American, Anna May Wong, in 1951. She played an art dealer moonlighting as a detective. I think there were only 10 episodes and, from what I've read, they weren't very good. Still, I wish we'd preserved a show like this, at least as a testament to Wong's groundbreaking career. The early 90s cartoon TV show, Mighty Maximum. I used to love that show, but it seems to be lost now. If a DVD set ever shows up, I'm going to have quite the nostalgia party. The full run of The Great Space Coaster. Apparently the tapes it is on are deteriorating and expensive to transfer to any modern medium. The guy that played Gary New is taking donations and working on it bit by bit, but the vast majority will probably deteriorate before they're transferred. I actually tried to fund transferring a bunch of tapes, but I think they thought I was a fraudster or something and the conversation petered out. There are a few episodes online, but there were originally 250, and most are unavailable. The show was on the impact level of Sesame Street for a lot of 80s kids like myself. On the assumption that this wasn't another piece of internet misinformation, the patent for the fire hydrant was lost, ironically, in a fire. We don't know who the official inventor was. Currently having a hard time finding a copy of the ABC special Thank God I'm a Country Boy, the ABC special that premiered back in 1974, starring the $6 million band comprised of John Denver, Johnny Cash, Roger Miller, and Glenn Campbell. I'm certain it still exists on VHS in someone's parents' house closet recorded from the original airing, but the whole special doesn't appear to exist online. I guess enough people don't enjoy country music like I do. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.